History. At the absolute pinnacle of the hierarchy was history painting. This was considered the most noble and intellectually demanding genre. Its subjects were not just any historical events, but grand dramatic narratives from the Bible, classical mythology, or major historical battles and coronations. These were massive, multi-figure compositions designed to tell a complex story and convey a lofty moral message. Jacques-Louis David's Oath of the Horatii is a supreme example of this grand, theatrical, and most prestigious of all genres. Mythological. A major and highly prestigious genre, mythological painting brings to life the epic stories of the ancient Greek and Roman gods and heroes. While technically a subset of history painting, its focus on drama, passion, and often the nude figure gave it a unique status. For centuries, it was one of the main vehicles for artists to explore themes like love, war, and tragedy, and to showcase their skill in depicting the ideal human form. Titian's Bacchus and Ariadne, or Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, are masterpieces of this powerful genre. Portrait. Ranked just below history painting, the portrait was the art of capturing the likeness, and more importantly, the character and status of a specific person. This genre was a major source of income for artists, as kings, popes, nobles, and wealthy merchants all commissioned portraits to preserve their legacy. A great portrait, like Leonardo's Mona Lisa or Velázquez's Las Meninas, went beyond a mere likeness to reveal the inner life and social standing of the sitter, making it a highly respected and psychologically complex art form. Nude. While a subject rather than a genre, the depiction of the nude human figure was the absolute foundation of academic art training and a major category in its own right. The ability to master the idealized nude form, known as the académie, was considered the single greatest test of an artist's skill. From the reclining nudes of Titian and Ingres to the mythological scenes of Rubens, the nude was the central subject for exploring themes of beauty, desire, and classical perfection. Genre. Genre painting depicts scenes from everyday life. Instead of gods, heroes, or kings, its subjects are ordinary people doing ordinary things. A woman reading a letter, peasants playing cards in a tavern, or a bustling market scene. This style flourished in the Dutch Golden Age with artists like Johannes Vermeer, Jan Steen, and Peter de Hooch. While the academies saw it as a lesser form, these paintings were highly valued for their realism, their narrative detail, and their ability to capture a snapshot of the customs and culture of their time. Landscape. For centuries, the landscape was considered merely a decorative backdrop for a more important historical or religious scene. Landscape painting as its own independent genre, where the scenery itself is the main subject, was a major innovation. The style is defined by its focus on capturing the beauty and mood of the natural world, from the idealized classical landscapes of Claude Lorrain to the dramatic, stormy seascapes of J.M.W. Turner. It was a genre that elevated the status of nature in art. Marine. A powerful and popular subgenre of landscape painting, marine painting focuses on the sea itself as its primary subject. This style flourished in maritime nations like the Dutch Republic and Britain. The genre is defined by its dramatic and often highly realistic depictions of ships, naval battles, coastal scenes, and the awesome, untamable power of the ocean. The stormy, atmospheric seascapes of J.M.W. Turner are some of the most famous and emotionally powerful examples of this style. Animal. A specialized and highly respected niche, animal painting focused on the depiction of animals. This was not just a scientific illustration, it was about capturing the character and vitality of the creatures. The genre was particularly popular in Britain, with artists like George Stubbs, who became famous for his majestic and anatomically precise paintings of horses for his aristocratic patrons. While a minor genre, a master animal painter could gain immense fame and wealth for their skill. Still life. At the bottom of the academic hierarchy was the still life. This genre shows carefully arranged, non-living objects, including natural items such as flowers and food, and man-made items such as books, skulls, and musical instruments. Even though academies ranked it as the least serious category, it became a showcase for pure technique and hidden meaning. Dutch painters in particular produced extremely realistic still lifes, often using Veduta symbolism, where details like a skull or a dying candle quietly point to how short life is. Religious. While technically a subset of history painting, religious painting is such a massive and important category that it stands on its own. For over 1,000 years in Europe, religious subjects were among the most dominant and heavily commissioned forms of art. Its purpose was to illustrate the stories of the Bible and the lives of the saints for a largely illiterate population. From the serene Madonnas of Raphael to the dramatic crucifixions of Caravaggio, religious painting was the primary vehicle for expressing the deepest spiritual beliefs of the culture. Allegorical. This is a highly intellectual and symbolic genre where abstract ideas are represented by human figures. In an allegorical painting, a woman might not be a specific person, but a personification of an idea like justice, liberty, or victory. These paintings are complex visual puzzles filled with symbolic objects and figures that the educated viewer was expected to decode. Botticelli's Primavera is a famous example, a beautiful and complex allegory of the coming of spring. Veduta. A popular genre, especially in the 18th century, a Veduta is a highly detailed, large-scale painting of a cityscape or other scenic view. The masters of this style, like Canaletto in Venice, were famous for their almost photographic depictions of famous city views, often sold as prestigious souvenirs to wealthy tourists on their grand tour of Europe. It was a form of architectural portraiture, celebrating the beauty and civic pride of a city. Architectural interior. A distinct and highly skilled genre, especially popular in the Netherlands and Flanders, this style focuses on the depiction of interior spaces. Its subjects can range from the vast, light-filled interiors of Gothic churches to the quiet, domestic intimacy of a private home. Artists like Emmanuel de Witt and Peter Senradam were masters of perspective, light, and texture, turning the buildings themselves into the main characters of the painting and creating a serene, almost spiritual atmosphere. Battle. A specific and dramatic subgenre of history painting, battle painting focuses exclusively on the depiction of combat. These were often massive, panoramic canvases filled with the chaos and heroism of a specific historical battle. Commissioned by kings and generals to commemorate their victories, these paintings were a powerful form of propaganda. They were not just a record of the event, but a carefully constructed narrative designed to glorify the nation and its military power. Trompe-l'œil. The ultimate display of an artist's technical virtuosity, trompe-l'œil, French for deceive the eye, is a technique used across painting, most famously in still lifes, to create a convincing illusion of reality. The goal of this style is to create an image so breathtakingly realistic that the viewer is tricked, even for a moment, into believing the painted objects are real. Artists would paint objects like letters tucked into a rack, dead game hanging on a wall, or objects in a cabinet with incredible photorealistic detail, creating a playful and astonishing illusion of reality. Abstract. A revolutionary movement of the 20th century, abstract painting is a complete rejection of the entire hierarchy of genres. This is a style of art that often moves away from depicting recognizable subjects, focusing instead on color, line, shape, and texture, sometimes still inspired by real-world forms. Instead, its subjects are color, line, shape, and texture themselves. From the geometric purity of Piet Mondrian to the dynamic splatters of Jackson Pollock, abstract art is a radical exploration of pure form and emotion, a declaration that a painting doesn't have to be of something to be powerful. Thanks for watching. Which painting genre do you think takes the most skill, and why? Let me know in the comments. Please also remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.